Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam jumpa lagi di channel ini. Ya, di awal tahun 2025 Indonesia resmi menjadi anggota penuh Brics. Hal itu sebagaimana pengumuman dari pemerintah Brasil, yang di tahun 2025 ini Brasil menjadi pimpinan bergilir dari organisasi Brics ini. Indonesia memang berkali-kali diminta menjadi anggota Brics oleh negara-negara pelopor organisasi tersebut. Namun saat itu pemerintah Indonesia masih mengkajinya dengan berbagai pertimbangan secara geopolitik. Akan tetapi strategi politik luar negeri Indonesia yang senyap, membuat publik internasional tersentak ketika Indonesia diumumkan sebagai negara anggota penuh dari Brics. Indonesia bukan hanya sebagai mitra seperti beberapa negara lainnya termasuk negara tetangga Malaysia. Hal itu yang menjadi ulasan khusus dari diplomat dan pengamat dari negara tetangga, yang menilai kenapa Indonesia yang ditetapkan sebagai anggota resmi dari Brics. Meskipun Malaysia sudah pernah mengajukan sebagai anggota Brics, akan tetapi di tahun 2025 ini Malaysia masih menjadi mitra Brics sedangkan Indonesia yang menjadi anggota penuh.
Indonesia has been admitted as a full member. So why is Indonesia a priority? The first reason is economics. Indonesia is the largest economy in Southeast Asia. Its economy is about $1.4 trillion as of 2023. So for Brics, it is vital to have Indonesia as a member, an important member at that. Now, I mentioned to you that the global GDP of BRICS is roughly about 31%, but with the inclusion of Indonesia, it is going to jump over 41% of the global GDP, and therefore now, with Indonesia's inclusion, BRICS becomes an entity that just cannot be ignored. It is too big to be ignored. Number two, Indonesia is a supplier of critical minerals and materials. In my videos on BRICS, I have explained that one of the fundamental strategy employed by BRICS in search of its membership is that the members must be suppliers of critical materials and minerals. The admission of South Africa, for example, was intended specifically for that because it is producer of huge amounts of components which are required for the economy of the future, various sensitive economic manufacturing items today. And the other important mineral component which is being produced by the members of BRICS is, of course, oil, and that's the reason why countries like the several members in the Middle East, including Iran, have been admitted. So Indonesia is on its own, by its own right, a producer of such kind of minerals. So this plays right into the BRICS strategic calculation. Number three, it is strategic location. And again, in a previous video, I have explained that the second important strategic calculation that BRICS takes into account is the location of its members. It is important for BRICS to be in control of the major trade routes. So if you were to look at the map, for example, you'll find that the Suez Canal area, which includes countries like Egypt, UAE, and in the Horn of Africa, Ethiopia, Cape of Good Hope, South Africa. These are all important waterways of the world, and this is where the members of BRICS are. So it is no coincidence that Indonesia should be chosen as a member because it sits astride the Straits of Malacca. For this reason too, I think that Malaysia and Thailand would also feature as potential members because of the location. But coming back to Indonesia, its location in Southeast Asia, specifically along the Straits of Malacca, makes it a very important player because this waterway is the other important maritime trade routes that are vital to global economy, and BRICS is determined that its members must come from these regions, and Indonesia fits that bill. Number four is leadership. Indonesia is the de facto leader of ASEAN, or the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, It simply is because Indonesia is the biggest power in the region, and it is also a thought leader and a pathfinder for the countries in this part of the world. And therefore, Indonesia's voice, as globally speaking, is very important. And that is, I think, one of the most valuable assets, intangible assets that Indonesia brings to BRICS. For that reason, Indonesia is indispensable, if you ask me, for BRICS. And number 5, linked somewhat to its global leadership, is Indonesia's position on non-alignment. Now, Indonesia, as you know, is one of the founding fathers, or in fact parents, of the non-aligned movement with its Bandung conference in the 1950s. So Indonesia has always had a preferred position when it comes to the global South, as a voice for the global South in many ways, and non-alignment is one of them. And this is again a very important strategic asset for BRICS, because Indonesia's voice is a voice of reason when it speaks out there on international issues. So I think this is also an important calculation that has gone into the minds of the BRICS members when they decided to admit Indonesia very early on, as in 2025. And number 6 is its population. Indonesia has 280 million people living in it. Its sheer size makes it impossible to be ignored. And imagine having a member like Indonesia in BRICS. It simply elevates BRICS to another level of importance as in terms of organizations in the world. With the admission of BRICS, now the population of BRICS would be well over half of the world's population. So again, as I said, from the economic standpoint, BRICS just simply cannot be ignored. But when you throw in the component of population, its strategic location, and its voice, politically speaking, BRICS is simply no pushover. Now it is actually a force to be contended with. So Indonesia's admission has basically now positioned BRICS in a different league altogether, if you would ask me. An important league as an important player. That is why Indonesia has to be brought in early. So Indonesia was admitted very early in 2025. It simply means that all the existing members of BRICS have agreed on consensus to admit Indonesia. And this must have been the calculation that has gone into their minds in making this decision. Now, I have mentioned to you that BRICS is positioning itself by putting in the strategic building blocks, starting with the strategic materials, the supply routes, and then it goes on to the banking system, which is another area which I have spoken about in the previous videos. I mentioned to you a little bit just now about the new development bank and this payment system called Enbridge, etc. So you can see now a big picture emerging. A solid world economic order is being built on these pillars which I have just spoken about. Of course, there is a long way to go, but BRICS is very careful and cautious about how it is going about doing it. It is in no hurry, in my opinion. I think it is also allowing the existing order to adjust itself so that it is not going to be confrontational. But here I think Indonesia's admission brings a lot of value. On a final note, you remember I said that I think that other countries will also be admitted. In my own opinion, I think Malaysia and Thailand would be among those that could be admitted soon because of their strategic locations, and if my guess is right, it fits well into BRICS' big plan.
Oke, untuk diketahui bahwa yang memberikan ulasan tersebut adalah Dr. Ilango Karupanan. Ia merupakan seorang diplomat Malaysia yang sering menjadi diplomat atau wakil Malaysia dalam urusan luar negeri. Ia memiliki kompetensi dalam kajian ekonomi dan politik luar negeri. Sehingga apa yang dipaparkan menunjukkan bahwa Indonesia memiliki pengaruh besar dalam urusan politik luar negeri, termasuk dalam organisasi BRICS ini. Nah, ada 6 poin yang menjadi alasan kenapa Indonesia penting dalam organisasi BRICS ini. Yang pertama adalah alasan ekonomi Indonesia. Indonesia merupakan negara terbesar di Asia Tenggara dan secara ekonomi, pencapaian ekonomi Indonesia termasuk salah satu yang terbesar di kawasan Asia Tenggara. Yang kedua, faktor kekayaan sumber daya alam. Indonesia tidak hanya memiliki potensi wisata, namun Indonesia memiliki kandungan mineral dan potensi sumber daya alam lainnya yang dibutuhkan oleh negara-negara anggota BRICS. Yang ketiga, lokasi Indonesia. Negara Indonesia berada pada lokasi strategis dalam jalur atau lalu lintas perdagangan internasional. Sehingga hal ini akan berdampak pada negara-negara di sekitarnya. Yang keempat, faktor kepemimpinan. Di Asia Tenggara, Indonesia dipandang sebagai salah satu negara terbesar, sehingga pada kepemimpinan regional, suara Indonesia berpengaruh pada urusan regional Asia Tenggara. Yang kelima, dalam urusan internasional, Indonesia merupakan negara non-blok yang tidak berpihak pada negara manapun. Maka pada faktor ini, suara Indonesia sering diperhitungkan pada politik global. Yang keenam, jumlah populasi penduduk. Indonesia memiliki potensi penduduk yang terbesar di kawasan Asia Tenggara. Sedangkan di kawasan Asia, Indonesia termasuk salah satu negara yang memiliki populasi penduduk yang besar. Jumlah penduduk Indonesia mencapai 280 juta. Sehingga hal itu akan menjadi modal kuat bagi organisasi BRICS. Oke, itulah beberapa alasan bahwa pentingnya Indonesia diajak masuk BRICS. Dan ketika Indonesia resmi menjadi anggota penuh BRICS, hal ini menjadi pemberitaan di berbagai media di dalam dan luar negeri. Kehadiran Indonesia di BRICS ini ibarat memperoleh suntikan baru bagi organisasi ini. Beberapa pemimpin negara pelopor maupun yang sudah menjadi anggota menyambut masuknya Indonesia sebagai anggota penuh. Karena itu akan menjadi kekuatan baru dalam geopolitik global, dari negara-negara anggota BRICS maupun mitra-mitra BRICS. Sehingga kita mendoakan, dengan bergabungnya Indonesia di BRICS ini, dapat membawa dampak positif yang besar bagi negara dan bangsa Indonesia. Oke, terima kasih sudah menonton video ini hingga usai.